another brew.
Welcome back to the Brewing Brothers. I'm one of your hosts, Corey.
I'm Tanner.
Today we're going to be making a ancient Rus mead. This is sort of in memorial to all of those Ukrainians and Russians killing each other in Eastern Europe. This is called Medovukha.
Probably pronouncing it wrong.
Medovukha, that's what we're going to call it. It's an ancient Rus mead. For those of you who don't know, Ukraine and Russia and Belarus and all of these were all part of the Russian Empire for like 1,000 years. It used to be the Kievan Rus Empire, turned into the Russian Empire, eventually the Soviet Union. Now they're cut up. We're not going to get into the politics of it. Don't believe the Russian propaganda. Don't believe the American propaganda. Let's get into this brew.
Exactly.
We're not trying to get kicked off the internet for this. Basically, we're just trying to make a mead. And this is the Medovukha Ancient Rus Mead. And the people of the Eastern Slavic people are the Russian people, the Russians.
And we are 50%, so we can say whatever the hell we want to say.
Yeah. So
It's in our blood.
yeah, if you disagree with us, you're freaking racist against us Ukrainians. All right, so this whole recipe, we're gonna put it up on the screen. 2 pounds of honey. We have the honey here. It's in this hot water. It's not boiled or anything, but it's just so we can easily pour it into here. We have 1 gallon of spring water right here. We have, and we're gonna be using as European and Eastern European products as we can. So right now we're going to be using a Kvike ale yeast. Right there. This is, I believe it was somewhere in Scandinavia. So over in Northern Europe. I think it's like a Norwegian ale yeast. So we're going to be using that. We're going to be using 1 tea bag, just normal black tea. And then we're going to be using just a normal teaspoon of this nutrient here, the super ferment. Now that's just going to be the primary fermentation that we're doing here. Then, not in this video right here, but the next one, we're going to be adding some Cascade Hops. I don't know if you can read that.
Better.
Basically, the Cascade Hops, the parent of this strain of Cascade Hops, one of its parents comes from the Russian region. So this is an Eastern European, essentially, hop. And we're going to be adding that into the secondary fermentation. We're going to be adding...
We'll put all the ingredients up there too.
We're going to be adding 2 teaspoons of Cascade Hops for maybe a day or 2. We're going to be kind of just going through with this. We found a couple different recipes online. They were slightly different. They were more or less European. We had to do the conversions and everything. And then in the end, we're going to be adding a pinch of cinnamon and a pinch of nutmeg. And then that's going to be your ancient Rus mead. And so right now we're going to get into the primary fermentation process. And that begins with I just bought 2 pounds of honey.
And this one you can get, I'm pretty sure Giant Eagle sells these ones.
Yeah, there's nothing special with this honey that we're using here. I wasn't going to order, Eastern
Russian.
European honey during the freaking war. So,
And I'm not even sure, can they grow honey over there? What are you doing?
sucking the honey out of that. Oh, that's freaking good. So we're going to be adding 2 pounds of honey, and that's not a whole lot. Typically, whenever I make a mead, it's about 3 pounds per 1 gallon. This is 2, so it's going to be very light. It's going to be a dry mead, but it's going to have the hops. So the hops are going to hide any of that
Hops will,
dry smell,
hops will bring
dry
out
taste.
a great taste.
just gonna put this little. We're gonna put this cap on here.
Did it actually fit?
Yeah. And we're back. Alright, so this is the must. If you've never made a mead before, or if you haven't watched any of our mead videos, the combination of all the ingredients, just the water and the honey, is the must. And we finally shook it up enough, and we just got 2 pounds of honey in here, and not even a full gallon. That's about good. See, I'm gonna save this until later on in the fermentation process, because whenever I add the yeast to this, over the next few days, this is going to foam up, and you want there to be room in here so that it can foam up, so you can be oxygenating, adding oxygen so that the yeast has something to help it eat, and then degas, getting a lot of that carbon dioxide out. So what we're going to do now is just add a half a packet of this Kvike Voss yeast. We've never actually used this. On the Instagram page, I have gotten a lot of messages though, saying from Europeans mostly, because this is I think it's a Norwegian, something like that, Norwegian Scandinavian yeast strain.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, mostly in America we just use Red Star and Lalvin products, but they've been talking a lot about this Kvike, so I'm gonna use a half a packet of this. It's slightly more expensive. So yeah, we've never used this Kvike before, so we'll be adding this. But before we add it, you always want to check the gravity before you actually add the yeast.
I don't know if it's gonna change anything, but at least that's what I've ever since I started making meads. I do that just in case it messes with the gravity, because then it messes with knowing what the percent of alcohol it is.
Yeah, this is probably gonna be low. I don't think I've ever done 2 pounds of honey per 1 gallon of water. It's actually not all that bad. 1.080. So that should be getting us close to 10% alcohol.
If you ferment right.
And we've sterilized everything. I know we should be saying that because that is very important. Now we're going to be adding a half a packet of this, because these packets are pretty much made for 5 to 6 gallons, and if you're just using one, you don't need all that much.
We'll use half.
Yeah, that's about good, right?
There's a lot more than there you think there is. Jeez.
It's always difficult to determine how much we're using. Give it a quick little swirl. That's why you change colors.
They're foggy.
Now to give that yeast a little bit of help, always add 1 tablespoon of some sort of yeast nutrient. We get ours at South Hills Brewing Company, Brewing Supply, something like that. Still don't know the name.
We'll put the link up. I think it's South Hills Brewing Company, yeah.
We use about 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon per one gallon. And that's just to help the yeast get that colony started. South Hills Brewing / Country Wines.
Yeah, country.
And so we are just going to let this sit. We're going to add this stopper, the bung and stopper, so that the carbon dioxide can leave. Really no oxygen can enter, but I'll be going down there at least once a day. Typically it's twice a day. Just give this thing a little swirl, just like this. And if there's really no bubbles, then I'll take the stopper and the bung off. And then I'll use this and go in there, and it's an easier way to oxygenate and degas. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna put this aside for about 2 weeks or so. I want this to run pretty much dry. I've never used Kvike yeast, so I don't know how quick this is gonna create alcohol. But then once we have this down to about 1 ending gravity, then I'll be adding some Cascade hops, about 2 teaspoons. Sorry. We'll have the ingredients listed here. And then we'll be adding the pinch of cinnamon and nutmeg. That's more of a secondary fermentation thing. Primary fermentation, we're just really focused on getting the alcohol flavor there. Primary fermentation, you want to have all of the sugars involved, the fruits, whatever you're fermenting, the honey, into the primary fermentation. The secondary, you're just fine tuning it with a little bit of spices, hops, whatever, some added sugars at the end. But yeah, so.
You said we're not gonna add the tea?
Oh, I forgot about the tea bag, everyone. Halt. So now we're just gonna add, rip that off. Just 1 tea bag of black tea. This is for the tannins. You could add some wine tannins, or depending on the quantity, you could add some raisins. But we just have a bunch of these. We have a bunch of black tea bags. We're gonna throw one of those in there. Give it a little swirl, and that'll be pretty much it for this video. And we'll give it'll probably take 2 to 3 weeks. Get them mixed up in there. And then yeah, so we'll see you in the next video. See ya.
Back with another brew.
Welcome back to the channel. We are the Brewing Brothers. Today we are going over our Ancient Rus mead that we made. This one we were doing in honor of the Ukrainian and the Russian people that are at war still right now. So what we did to this so far, take you through the process. 2 pounds of honey, 1 gallon of spring water, a half a packet of Kvike Voss yeast. I chose that because of it's like some sort of Scandinavian yeast that they use over there. 1 tea bag, 1 black tea bag, 1 tablespoon of nutrient, and then I ended up adding 2 teaspoons of Cascade hops, cold. I didn't like reboil this or anything like that. I literally just threw them in there. I'll show you the video here. Just dropped the hops in, left for a couple hours, came back, and the entire top was pretty much just filled with green, grassy slime.
It's definitely a different way of doing it. I've never seen someone just put them in.
Yeah. Well, the one issue is that I saw on some forum that hops are horrible with oxygen. So in situations like this, there's kind of a lot of oxygen, and so they might taint the flavor a little bit. I hear that oxygen in hops creates sort of a grassy taste, but we'll see. And then I added a pinch of cinnamon, of ground cinnamon, and a pinch of nutmeg. So we're just gonna do a little taste test, and there's still a little bit of bubbling, even though we started this at the beginning of March, and we're coming up to the end of May. So it's been a few months at this point. But let me just do the gravity real quick. That's pretty much what we were aiming for. 1.010, maybe 1.012. A little bit of quick math. Starting gravity was 1.080 minus 1.012 times 131.25, and we're sitting at around 9% alcohol. It's not crazy, but we didn't start with our high amount.
It's gonna be an enjoyable
Somewhat
one.
sweet, and it's hopped, which we've never. Actually, I did have a hopped pineapple the other day.
Really?
At Apis Meadery in Pittsburgh. Go check out our meaderies. There's 2 of them. A little taste testy here.
I hope this tastes like a beer and smells like it.
Probably gonna like it. It smells like beer in here. It's crazy the power of the hops. I mean,
It smells like an
I didn't put that
IPA.
much in. Let's do the smell. Yeah, you got that IPA vibes, a little bit of sweetness. Let's take a bite. I only tasted on the aftertaste. What?
I don't even taste it. Let me try again.
I get the hops after I swallow and in the smell, but at the very swallow, I only get sweet honey. Do you taste any hops? Yeah, I feel
What hops
You
did
like
you
the-
use?
Cascade. I chose Cascade because it's like this. It's this Russian Ukrainian thing, and Cascade, it's got like a parent. It's like a merging of like the an English type of hop, and then a Russian hop to create the Cascade. So I use Cascade because I'm not gonna try to find in some off website how to get the actual parent.
It tastes more carbonated too than usual.
It's saying it's still slightly fermenting. Still, we saw some bubbles.
It definitely tastes like a beer. I don't really taste the hops though. Like everything about it, like it almost has like a burn, like a beer does too.
Yeah, the other way you could do this, and I considered doing this, but I decided against it. I might do it next time, because I definitely want to hop more meads. Is that just in the initial fermentation, you just throw everything into the pot that you got on the stove. Throw in your honey, your water, the hops. Let it come to like a simmer for like 15 minutes or so, and then transfer that all in.
So I think you'll be
I
able to
don't
get
know.
more flavor.
That's what I'm thinking. They were
Because
in
you
here
gotta
for a
think
while.
of the 60-minute IPAs.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why.
The only other thing I'm thinking is that maybe this is a little bit too sweet, and typically you're not drinking like a super sweet IPA that tastes like heavy on the hops.
I guess those are hazies. Hazies are usually on the sweeter side.
So maybe if we're gonna do this as sweet.
But
One benefit
definitely-
of the hop is that if you did make this super dry, and you accidentally let this thing go down below 1.000 ending final gravity, it might have like a burn. I feel like the hops would just mellow that right out.
I don't know. It almost tastes like a dry wine.
Yeah. I'm enjoying this because I can taste a little bit in the aftertaste, but I wish I had a little bit more.
Like if I close my eyes, I'd be thinking I was drinking like a white dry wine.
Yeah. But to me, it tastes like just a little bit thick, like too thick to be a white wine. So to me, it just tastes like it's a little bit too thick, because to me, mead and wine doesn't have the same consistency. Mead, I can notice at least it's just a little bit thicker, and the sweetness isn't like a grape sweetness. Like honey, to me, is like a very distinct.
I think that's what's separating that from like a wine, is always the thickness.
Yeah, it's good. I gotta figure out how to get more hops in there though.
I think boiling boiling them next time.
Yeah, we could do that. Maybe we could even just boil, finish the primary fermentation and everything, and then add them, cold hop them again.
I've just never heard of cold hopping.
Man-made Mead did it in one of his, and I've seen other people. I've seen like pictures of other people's like on forums and stuff. It basically just fills up. It creates like this big green disgust.
Like
but then you gotta filter that out real quick. And there's still kind of like a couple particles floating around in here. It's definitely hazy.
I got a straggler.
But I feel like this might be good to like carbonate, because it is kind of low. It's not low enough to be a hydromel, which is like less than 7% or whatever. But I'm a fan of this. There's some other on the Instagram page. Go follow us at the Brewing Brothers on Instagram. Somebody commented, and he's like, an actual European's like, and they've been doing this for more than just like a couple decades in America. So I said that I was doing this ancient Rus mead, and he's like, you mean the Medovukha or whatever? And he's like, are you going to be adding like pine needles and hops and maybe something else? And I never even heard about the pine needles, but we'll have to get on that level here soon. But
that'd be pretty cool. It'll make it more earthy too.
Yeah, so there's probably other recipes for this, but you know, mead has been in Eastern Europe at least for a while. There's the Polish meads, which are super aged. Like I think the basic Polish mead is 2 years old, and then there's the next one that's like 4 or 8 or whatever. So like that's a huge investment of time.
What do you mean aging them?
Yeah, like for it to be like an official Polish mead, it has to be like a certain ingredient thing, and then it has to be set aside and like aged for like there's certain ones that go like for like
those are always
many
different
years,
because you don't even know what it's gonna taste like.
Yeah, it's a
it
big
changes
investment.
like every year if you let them sit there.
Yeah. But that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.
Try the recipe.
Yeah, try the
Not
recipe.
bad.
Try the hops. Like I said, I just did the Cascade for this because it was more related to the Russian stuff. But yeah, try some hops. Go subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and go check out the Instagram page to stay in touch with us. Message us there, whatever. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.